All right, guys, we're going to start lesson 3.1. This is unit 2. Solving equations is what we're going to be looking at. This unit specifically, our objective is to solve two-step equations. To solve two-step equations, the first step is to use the addition or subtraction property of equality, which I will go over in just a moment, to get the term with a variable alone on one side of the equation. Then we go through and do multiplication and division. It's kind of backwards from order of operations. We first take care of the addition and subtraction, then we take care of the multiplication and division for two-step equations. What the addition and subtraction properties of equality are is when we're looking at an equation, these are where we have equal signs. And if it will help, I think it will, we'll go ahead and draw a line where the equal sign is, because this specifies two different sides of an equation. All right, the goal is to get the variable on one side of the equation by itself. Now, in order to do that, we have to undo any addition or subtraction. And if you look at, we've got 2y minus 3. So our goal is to get this term right here. The first thing is to get this term right here by itself. But in its way is negative 3. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of that negative 3 and get it to the other side. To do that, what you do is right underneath it, you just add 3 over here, and then add 3 on this side, okay? So what happens there is if we take negative 3 plus 3, we get 0. Okay, if we take negative 3 plus 3, we do get 0. So these will just cancel out, and you'll bring down your 2y. So you're left with 2y on that side. On the other side, you have 7 plus 3. That's just 10. So we've now gotten rid of that negative 3. The y is almost by itself. We have one more step that we need to take. We need to divide the y by 2 on both sides. So then we get y equals 5. And then we can go back and check to see if we got the correct answer, because if we come up here with 5 and plug it in where the y is, we end up with 2 times 5, which is 10, and then 10 minus 3 is 7. That does equal out on this side. So you can, on any equation, always go back and check it and see if you got the right answer. Okay, for number B, letter B, we're going to get the negative x by itself. This term is the one we need to focus on getting by itself. So we need to look to see what's in its way. Well, we've got a positive 15 in the way. So we need to do the opposite operation. So since it's plus here, we're going to subtract 15 on both sides of this equation. Okay? So then we get negative x equals negative 3. Divide both sides of the equation by negative 1. Oh, because, and let me explain why that is. Because we have a 1 here that you don't see. Okay, so negative x is actually, remember there's a negative 1. So in order to get the x by itself, it's being multiplied by negative 1. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we divide here by negative 1. So those will cancel and we'll get x equals 3. Positive 3 because negative divided by negative is positive. All right, let's go ahead and look at example C. On example C, we have x over 9 minus 15 equals 12. All right, so this term right here is the one with the variable. This is the one we need to get all by itself. So we need to look and see what else is on the same side of the equal sign with it, and we can get rid of it. On this, we have a negative 15. To get rid of a negative 15, we're going to add a 15 to both sides of the equation. Okay, that will get rid of our 15 on that side. So we get x over 9 equals, and then 12 plus 15 gives us 27. All right, so now we need to look at the variable is being divided by 9. Okay, it's being divided by 9. In order to get rid of the 9, we need to do the opposite operation. Since x is being divided by 9, the opposite of division is multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides of this by 9. Okay, so our 9's will cancel and you get x equals, let's see, we get 27 times 9. Do that in my head real quick. We get 63, we take 7 times 6, 18 plus 6. 243. So our answer is 243. And if we were to take, again, if we can take this 243 and plug it back in right here, 243 divided by 9 is going to go ahead and give us 27. And then 27 minus 15 gives us 12. All right, so on letter D, let's go ahead and draw a line. I think it helps as you're beginning to learn how to do multi-step equations. I think it will help to draw the line where the equal sign is. The term, let's notice the term that has the variable in it. That's that 3b. That's what we got to work to get by itself. First, we're going to work with the positive 7. To get rid of that, we take negative 7 on both sides. So we get 3b equals negative 9. Okay, and then the b, notice it's being multiplied by the 3. So the opposite of multiplication is divide by 3 on both sides, and that will get the b by itself completely. So you get b equals negative 3. All right, let's look at letter E. On letter E, okay, let's isolate the term that has the variable. We want to get that by itself, so what's in its way? A negative 2 is in its way, so we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. These cancel, we get 8 equals m over 4. Okay, and then m is being divided by 4, so the opposite of divide is multiply. So we're going to multiply both sides of this by 4. So we get m equals 32. And I always write the variable on the left when at the end when you get to the end answer. Like here, this would have been 32 equals m. I go ahead and flip that around and just say m equals 32. It makes more sense to say it that way. All right, so with our fractions, or not fractions, I'm sorry, those are decimals. Here's a trick to the decimals, okay? We could leave it like decimal form and do that problem using decimals, and that would work out just fine. But to make it easier, look for the number that has the most decimal places to the right, okay? This one has 1 decimal place to the right. This has none because here's the decimal. It has nothing to the right. This one has 2. This one has the most. So what we can do is we can move that 2 places over. Okay, if we do that, we end up with 732 on this one. But then when we move that over 2, we have to move every other decimal place over 2 in the problem. Okay, so if we take 3.5 and move that over 2 places, we're going to move it here and then here. Where there's a space, you're going to put a 0. So that's 350 plus, and then here we move it over 2 places, so that's going to be spaces in between there. That's going to be like 1000 m. And we get rid of our decimals that way. Okay. So then from here we take 300 and we want to isolate the 1000 m. So we're going to take away the 350 on both sides. So we get 1000 m equals 482. Okay. And then we divide both sides by 1000. Okay, so we get m equals, and then when you divide by 1000, I don't know if you knew this or not, but you take this decimal, there's 3 places, and we move it back. 1, 2, 3. So we get actually 0.482. Okay, so there's our answer on that one. All right, so guys, we're going to go ahead and look at a couple of problems where we have to actually write our own equations. Okay, we did a little practice with this with Unit 1 where you guys had to write your own equations. Okay, we're going to be looking at a music store. Music store sells a copy of a deluxe electric guitar for $295. This is $30 more than 1/3 the cost of the electric guitar it is modeled after. What is the cost of the deluxe electric guitar? Okay, this is where we got to do variables. We want to look at the words and really think about what those symbols mean. So let's go to where there's the numbers, okay? We have $30. So the deluxe guitar for $295 is, remember what I told you about is really equals. So equals $30 more than. More than tells you what operation, more than tells you plus, okay? More than 1/3 the cost of the electric guitar. So 1/3 of, this of right here is kind of an indicator of multiplication. So it's probably going to be something like 1/3 times something. Okay, so that's kind of the basic skeleton. The basic skeleton of your equation is this 30 plus 1/3 of something. Okay, and this equals 295. Okay, because it says the music store sells a deluxe guitar for $295. The $295 is, so that's where we put the equals. So we get $295 equals $30 plus 1/3 of what? 1/3 of the cost of the deluxe guitar. Well, we don't know what the cost of the deluxe guitar it's modeled after. We don't know that. So we need a variable for that. So we could even just use maybe D for deluxe guitar. Okay. So it's 1/3 times the cost of the deluxe electric guitar. So that would be D. Okay, so there's our equation, 1/3 times D. So this right here is what we're going to isolate when we solve that equation, because we're going to be asked to solve this equation. This 1/3 D is what we want to get by itself. Well, we have this 30 right in the way, so we're going to subtract 30 from both sides. So we get $265 equals 1/3 times D. Now, on the other paper, we didn't actually have any where we had a fraction. So I'm going to show you how you can easily get rid of this 1/3. Because one way is D is being multiplied by 1/3, so we could divide by 1/3. But a little bit easier of a way when you're dealing with fractions like this is to actually multiply by the reciprocal, okay? Reciprocal, we talked about that last unit, is where you flip that fraction towards 3/1. So if we take this and multiply it by 3/1, okay, multiply both sides by 3/1, the 3's and the 1 cancel, because 3/1 times 1/3 is 1, which is what we want. So that can take that away and we can just get D, okay, because it's just 1D, but we just don't write the 1, it's D. And then on this side we take 265 times 3. Okay, so I'm going to do that off to the side real quick. I'm not very good at doing that right in my head. $795. So it's $795 is what the cost of the deluxe guitar would be. Okay, the one that they model after it is $295. Okay, and it is 1/3, $30 plus 1/3 the cost of the deluxe. Okay. All right, letter B. Marley works at a furniture store. Her base salary, we need to actually fix this. This is total weekly salary, which I already fixed in your notes. Okay, Marley's total weekly salary is, which is a very magic word here, is always means equals. So let's just go through. This is where our equation looks like it's going to start. Equals. Okay, so total weekly salary equals 125 a week. So we have 125 a week. We don't need a variable for a week because we're looking at a weekly salary. So we know it's 125. Plus, that's going to be a plus sign, 1/12 of her sales. So of is usually multiply, which means multiply. Of is multiply. And then her sales, which we're going to have to come up with a variable for. So we got a couple things we're going to come up with a variable for. Total weekly salary. So we want that to be maybe T. We'll make that T. Total weekly salary. And then we'll make sales maybe be S for sales. So then we can replace these statements right here with variables. So we get T equals 125 plus 1/12 S. Okay, so now it's like regular variables. We can solve this equation. Part B of this problem says, then find the amount of her sales if her total weekly salary is $255. So this is total weekly salary. we have a variable for that. It's t. So what we're going to do then is we're going to substitute this right here in for t, and then we will solve that equation. Okay, so we're going to get 225 equals 125 plus 1/12 times s. Now, if it helps, you can go ahead and draw your lines with your equations like this, okay? We want to isolate that 1/12 s, okay? So we're going to subtract 125 from both sides. We cross that out. Okay, here we get, oh, I'm sorry, this should be 255. I just saw an error. That should be 255 that you plug in for t. 255, not 225, sorry. So 255, so that gives us $130 equals 1/12 times s. And then just like that last problem where we multiplied by the reciprocal, that's what we're going to want to do on this problem too, because to get the s by itself, it's multiplied by 1/12, but we can also multiply the 1/12 by 12/1, and that will still give us the resulting 1 that we want. So we get s equals, but then we have to multiply this side by 12/1, or just 12. All right, so let me just do some quick math here. Some of you like to do lattice. I just like to do the regular old-fashioned way. So 1,560. That means Marley had $1,560 in sales that week. Okay, that's just how much she sold. So her weekly salary was $255. Right, I realize that this section right here is going to be the part that you have the most trouble with, is writing equations. I'm happy to give you guys some extra examples tomorrow, but please ask me if you do have any questions. Thank you for listening.